All right, so I'm sure that a lot of you have heard and seen the song that Drake and SZA recently put out. It has such a smooth R&B feel to it, so you know I had to make a tutorial on how to make a beat kind of like that one. Let's go. All right, so a few days ago, maybe last week, I had built out this chord progression and I didn't do much with it because I definitely wanted to save it for a tutorial like this. And I'm gonna break down and show you how I made this step by step. But first off, let's just hear it. The pad I'm using for this is pad 3 from my Loveless Analog Lab bank. All right, so let's hear the chord progression, then I'll go ahead and break it down and we'll rebuild it from scratch so I can show you exactly how you can make something like this. All right, first things first, I am gonna bring this down a little bit, probably somewhere lower, like 115, maybe like 110. And then we are in E major for this, as you can see right here. So let's go ahead and break down this chord progression. I'm gonna show you exactly how I made it. So this first chord right here, let's go ahead and bring it over here so I could just show you and you can easily see how I built it out. So I started on A, skip a note in the scale, place 1, skip a note in the scale, place 1. We have an A major triad. I skipped one more note here. We have the 7th chord, skip one more note right here in place, and now we have a 9th chord. So this is just an A major 9th chord. I took the C sharp right here and control up arrow 1 octave, and then I deleted the E. And the only reason I deleted the E is because it just sounded better and smoother without it. Let me show you. And now with the E taken out, just sounded a little bit smoother to me, so I went ahead and removed it. So that's going to be the first chord right here. As I mentioned, it's just an A major 9th chord. We invert the C up 1 octave here, and then we take out that E. So pretty simple chord. Then we'll bring over the next chord right here, and I'll show you what I did with this one. So we went from A, and then we dropped the root note down to F sharp. And here I just built out an F sharp minor 7th chord. So we have the F sharp, we skip one note and place, skip one note and place, skip one note and place. And the reason that this is a minor chord is because we have 2 spaces here, 3 spaces here, and then 2 spaces here, which makes it the minor 7th. So as you can see, these notes are a little bit higher. So I am just going to bring this whole thing up 1 octave. So control up arrow, just so it sounds a little bit better when it transitions. And you'll be able to kind of hear what I was going for before. Obviously, I went ahead and brought this down and then flattened this note. But just in its most basic F minor 7th chord form, this is what it sounded like. And from here, all I did is take the F sharp and I control down arrow 1. So we have the root note going down now. And then as you can see, all I did was take this E, shift, down arrow, and I flattened it. So all we did is bring the E down to a D sharp, down 1 semitone. It's also in the scale, so it works perfectly. And now we have a chord progression that starts to sound like this. So it's the same exact chord, but this is why inversions are super important. Also trying to flatten some notes, it can sound good if it works, because then it just brings more tension when you have notes that are really close to each other. So that's all I did for that 2nd chord. So now you can see the chord progression starting to come together. And then we have the 3rd chord, which we'll bring over here and go over next. All right, so for this chord, I started it off with a C sharp minor triad. So you're going to see when I build out, it's not going to look the same. It's until we start to add those inversions to it. So I did have a C sharp right here first. I skipped one note here, place, skip one, and place. So I went into a C minor triad here. So this is what it sounded like. And watch, this is all we did. So I took the E right here and I brought it down 1 octave, control down arrow. So again, our bass notes are starting to go down. Then I took this C sharp here and I control up arrow once. As you can see, now we're starting to get that chord progression. It's starting to match up here. And then all I did was take this E and I duplicated it, control up arrow once and twice. And I brought a duplicate of the root note up to the top of the chord. I don't know what I just did, right here and right here. And now you can see we have that same chord, and now it sounds like this. You see what I'm saying? And we're starting to get a more advanced chord progression. But if you think about how all these chords are starting when I was first creating them, they were pretty simple chords. All right, so the next chord we have is right here, the final one. Let's bring this over here and go over this one. All right, for this last chord, all I did was build out a G sharp minor 7th chord. So I start right here on G sharp, skip one note, place, skip one, place, skip one, place. So we have the G minor 7th, as you can see here, 2 spaces, 3 spaces, 2 spaces. Then what I did to add some tension is just go ahead and add in the C sharp right here. So instead of skipping this note in the chord, I actually did add it in. And then from here, when I added that C in, I decided to make that the root note of the chord. So I highlighted that, brought that down 1 octave here. And then I took these 3 right here and control up arrow. And that's it. It's the inversions that I did that make these chords sound more advanced. But if you think about it, they're all pretty simple chords to start off with. So from here, what I'm going to do is just export this out. And I think I want to reverse it and then have it play in reverse and see if we can come up with something cool for this. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to Control A, Control Alt C, and let's render this out. Let's double click this and let's put this on stretch. And I'm going to bring this up maybe 2 or 4. Let's see, 3. I liked 4. And now let's reverse it. And then let's cut it every 2 bars like this. And let's go something like this, bring it backwards. Maybe like this. That should fix it. Oh, I like how it has like a woo, like a dropout. Let's fix this a little more. Ooh. Let's go into Broken Hearts and let's get one of my favorite basses, which is 808-2 right here. Let's do cut itself and go like this. Perfect. And then we'll go back to the root notes that we have. We just have to bring them up. Four semitones. So we'll go into here, make sure we're in the bass, paste it in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1 octave, shift up arrow. Let's see what this sounds like. Up. Ooh. All right, so I messed with the pad a little bit because there was like pops and clicks that I didn't like, and then I exported it one more time. So that's the final version of the pad. And then for the bass, I just went in here and I brought it back a little bit. So instead of having these all the way out like that, I just brought them back 2 steps like that to just create a little bit more tension. That's like the main thing I want to do with this. So let me go ahead and show you what those 2 sound like together now. Clean, right? I like how that sounds. It sounds perfect. I want to get some drums on here, and I do want to go for drums that are kind of similar to that Drake and SZA song for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and load up some drums real quick, and then we'll start to get a drum bounce for this, and then add a vocal and maybe like a quick little lead. And then that'll be really it, because these beats I just want to keep pretty simple, but just have a lot of emotion to them and a whole bunch of bounce for the artist. So I'm gonna be using a drum loop for this, but I did chop up the drums so that I could show you how you can create this same bounce. It is very similar and very close to that Drake and SZA song. So let's go ahead and hear it. Smooth, right? So you'll hear we kind of have like a triplet going for the hi-hat. So like I said, I did chop up the drum sample. We'll go into piano roll, and the first thing we need to do is go over here and put this into 3rd step, and let's place a hi-hat right here, and then we need to count over 8. So we have 1, we need to count over 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's going to be the length to get that triplet, as you can see. And now we start to get this for it. right? So then I go ahead and bring down the second one right here. So there's a little bit of bounce and variation to it. And then what you could do is bring this one up. So it's da, 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 da. Then we just have that repeat over here like that, something pretty simple. And then you can go ahead and just put the rim right here. And then you bring in the kick right here on the 1. So over here, we have that double that hits, da, da, da. So let's zoom in. There we go. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over when we're in 3rd step. And that just gives us that double. And that's really all the drum loop is. But from here, I just want to add a vocal. So I'm going to go into Arcade to do that, because inside Arcade, there's a whole bunch of like vocals that are really just perfect for like R&B. And before I even get a vocal, I'm going to put this into Mixer Track 2. And I'm going to load up this Arcade vocal preset. This is an EQ right here. We have it cutting about 300 and all the way up to about 1100, and then just some reverb on it. It's just something simple that I use for a lot of Arcade vocals. So let's go into Hooked and let's try to find a vocal that would fit for this. There's actually a whole bunch of new ones in here too. All right, so I found this one right here called Safe and Sound. There's a couple vocals in here that just fit really well. Watch, let me show you. I think it... See what I'm saying? Like that could be clean. And that goes down to there. That sounds pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. See what this sounds like. Less. A little bit more delay. Kind of smooth. One thing I want to hear real quick is if I take all of this, bring it over here, and what if I render this out and then drop the bit rate? Sometimes that sounds really cool. It might just be cool for like a transition, but let's see. We could try it. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But let's go in here, and all we need to do is go right here. Let's try 5,000. And then we'll export this over here, get rid of all that. It's a little messy right now, but we'll figure it out. But now we got the drum loop, we got the vocal. That all sounds good. I think I want to bring down the pad just a tiny bit more and maybe bring like the bass up. Let's see. Maybe even the drum loop, we can cut some high end out. Sounds better. Ooh, I like this little part. Transition's nice. I'm going to arrange this and mix it a little bit, and then we'll hear the full beat. If you're interested in any of my kits used in today's video, there'll be a link to those in the description. Make sure to join the Discord, link to that in the description as well. Let's hear the full beat.